These three router bits look almost identical. One gives you a perfect clean edge, one tears your plywood to shreds, and one can do both at the same time. They're all incredibly useful, just in the right circumstances. But most beginners don't realize how many small router mistakes can ruin a cut. So in this video, we're breaking down what the pros know about routers and router bits, how to set them up, what speed to use, what bits to pick, and all the little habits that separate clean results from total frustration. Let's start with one of the biggest mistakes beginners make, and that's this little dial right here. Every router has a dial on it that controls the speed, and most people just crank it all the way up because they figure faster means better. But that's not how it works. It's on your router for a reason. Router bit speed is arguably the most important factor to making this tool work properly, and it 100% depends on the diameter of the bit you're using. Smaller bits need to spin faster to remove material, but larger bits need to slow way down or you'll start burning your wood and dulling your bits almost instantly. Think of it like a car tire. The bigger the tire, the slower it has to spin to cover the same distance. Same thing here. A big edge profile bit spinning at 25,000 RPM is like taking a turn in your car at 200 miles an hour. You're going to crash. You'll know you're going too fast when you start to see burn marks or smell that scorched wood. That's not the wood's fault. It's the bit spinning too quickly and rubbing instead of cutting. As a general rule, bits under about 1/8 of an inch can run at full speed. Between 1/8 and 1/2 inch should be in the medium range, and bits over an inch should slow way down. And those big panel raising bits should be dropped to the lowest possible setting that your router has. If you take the time to match your bit size to your speed, you'll get smoother cuts, longer bit life, and way less burning. I know that's a lot to remember, so I made something to help. I put together a free router bit reference guide that includes a full printable speed chart, explanations on every bit type, pro tips for setup and maintenance, and even the exact routers and bits that I use in my own shop. But for now, just remember this: slower is smoother. Speed's one of those things most people never think about. But even if you get that right, there's another place beginners get tripped up: the collet. Now that you've determined the speed of your router, the next big mistake I see all the time is using the wrong collet size. The collet is the little metal sleeve inside your router that grips the bit. When you tighten the nut, the collet squeezes around the shank, and that's what keeps it locked in place while it's spinning at 20,000 RPM. Most routers come with a 1/4 inch collet. Some include a 1/2 inch one, and a few compact routers use 1/8 inch bits for really small detailed work. There are also in-between sizes like 3/8 of an inch or 8 millimeters, which you'll see more often on European or specialty routers. No matter which size your router takes, the rule stays the same. The bigger the shank, the more grip and stability you get. A 1/4 inch shank is fine for small bits like roundovers, chamfers, or some light flush trimming. They're super light, affordable, and great for trim routers or handheld detail work. But once you move up to larger bits like pattern bits, rabbiting bits, or those big edge profiles, you'll want to step up to a 1/2 inch shank. That extra diameter gives your collet way more surface area to grab onto, which means less vibration, smoother cuts, and way less chatter. 3/8 or 8 millimeter bits kind of sit in the middle. They're more rigid than 1/4 inch bits, but don't require a full-size router. But here in the US, they're a little less common. And one last thing, collets wear out too. They're a consumable part of the router, and over time, they will lose tension or develop tiny burrs that stop them from gripping your bits properly. If your router's a few years old and you notice bits slipping or more vibration than usual, it's probably time for a new collet, not a new router. Once you've got the right collet in your router, the next big decision is what bit to actually run in it, because not all bits are created equal. Let's talk about the bits themselves, and we'll start with the most common one of all, the straight bit. This is the bit that's probably sitting in your router right now. It's been around forever, and it's what most people start with when they first get a router. It works fine. It'll cut grooves, dados, rabbets, and mortises, but it's also the one that causes the most frustration. Straight bits chop straight into the material, which means they build up heat fast, leave rougher edges, and are much more likely to cause tear out, especially in plywood or veneer. Think of it like a hand plane. If you try to push a plane straight into the wood with the blade perfectly perpendicular, it has a likelihood to grab, tear, and chatter. But if you skew the plane at an angle just a few degrees, it slices through the fibers cleanly. Same thing with a kitchen knife. If you press straight down, it's hard to cut, but if you slice, it goes through like butter. That's exactly what a spiral bit does. It cuts at an angle instead of head-on, which makes it smoother, cleaner, and cooler running. And that's exactly why spiral bits exist, and where things start to get interesting. These 3 spiral bits look the same, but they couldn't be more different. Let's start with the upcut bit. You can spot it because the flutes spiral upward, pulling chips away from the cut. That upward motion clears debris fast and helps keep the bit cool, which is great for cutting grooves, mortises, and dados. The trade-off is that it pulls the wood fibers up too, so on plywood or veneer surfaces, it can tear out the top edges. On the other side, we've got downcut bits. These spiral the opposite direction, pushing the chips down instead of pulling them up. That downward force keeps the top surface super clean. No tear out, no fuzz, but it packs all the chips down into the cut so they can heat up really fast. These are awesome for shallow passes, edge trimming, or anything where you need that perfect top surface. And then there's the compression bit, kind of the best of both worlds. The bottom of the bit has upcut flutes, and the top has downcut flutes. So when it's cutting, it's pulling fibers toward the middle from both directions. That means you get clean edges on top and bottom of your plywood or veneer, which is why this is a go-to bit for CNC work or trimming sheet goods. If you're using a compression bit, there's one trick you have to remember: the transition point. Where the flutes change direction has to be inside of the material that you're cutting. If it's above or below the surface, you kind of mitigate the entire point of using a compression bit in the first place, because you're not getting both directions. Here's a short version. Straight bits work, but they tend to tear out and burn. Upcut bits give you a clean bottom, but a rough top. Downcut bits give you a clean top, but a rough bottom. Compression bits give you clean edges on both sides, as long as that transition point is inside of your cut. If you've ever wondered why your plywood edges look fuzzy or your laminate chips while you're cutting it with a router, it's probably not you. It's probably just the wrong bit. Once you understand how these work, you can pick the right one every time and your cuts will look way cleaner. Alright, now that you've picked the right bit for the job, let's make sure that you're installing it correctly, because this is where a lot of beginners accidentally make a huge mistake before they ever even turn the router on. When you put a bit into the router, it's tempting to just slide it all the way down until it bottoms out in the collet. That feels right, but it's actually one of the worst things you can do. When the bit bottoms out, the end of the shank is sitting right against the bottom of the collet bore. When you tighten the nut, the collet can't flex and grip evenly, which means your bit can vibrate, slip, or even get stuck so tight that you need pliers to pull it out, and you'll ruin your bit. The right way is to do it simple. Seat the bit all the way in, then pull it back out about a 1/16 of an inch before tightening it down. That tiny gap gives the collet room to flex evenly and grip the shank like it's supposed to. When it comes to tightening, you do not need to go full Hulk mode. Snug is enough. If your router uses 2 wrenches, hold one steady and tighten the other one firmly. Just don't overdo it. Over-tightening can actually deform the collet and make it lose grip over time. Under-tightening is just as bad. If your bit starts creeping down during a cut, that's a sign you didn't tighten it enough, or you just need a new collet. The rule of thumb is simple. Seat the bit, lift it slightly, tighten it to snug, not slammed. I like to tighten until I feel a little resistance, and then I give it a small little extra nudge, and that's it. One quick bonus, some routers like this one here have a ratcheting collet built in, so you only need one wrench and it clicks automatically into place. It's a small feature, but it makes swapping bits a lot faster and a lot safer too. Once your bit's locked in and tightened properly, the last thing you need to dial in before you start cutting is how deep to go. And that's where a lot of people push their luck. It's something almost everyone does at first. You've got the bit set up, you're ready to go, and you think, why make 3 passes when I can just take it all off at once? But that's a fast way to end up with a rough edge, a burned bit, or a router that's fighting you the entire time. When you take off too much material in one pass, a few things happen. The bit heats up way faster because it's rubbing instead of slicing. That heat dulls the bit quicker and can even scorch your workpiece. The motor has to work harder, which means more strain on your router and a lot more vibration in your hands. And then you get chatter, those tiny ridges along your cut that make it look like the wood was shaking while you cut it. The easy fix is to take multiple lighter passes. Not only does this reduce heat and stress on the tool, it also gives you a much cleaner finish. A good rule of thumb is to never remove more than about half the diameter of the bit in one pass. So if you're using a 1/2 inch bit, take about a 1/4 inch depth per pass. You'll get through the cut almost as fast, but your bit and your router will thank you. You'll know you're pushing it too hard if the router sounds like it's struggling or the bit starts to squeal. When that happens, back the depth off, take another pass, and it'll cut smoother and safer. At the end of the day, these routers are precision tools, not hogging machines. Slowing down and taking smaller bites might feel slower, but it'll actually save you time because you won't be fixing burns and sanding out chatter marks later. And speaking of taking care of your tools, let's talk about bit maintenance, because most of the time, a dull bit just needs a good cleaning. After you've done a few projects, especially if you're routing a lot of plywood or pine, your bits start to build up pitch and resin. That sticky residue doesn't just look bad, it actually changes how the bit cuts. It adds friction, which makes the bit run hotter, and that heat makes the pitch stick even more. It's a vicious cycle that ends with burn marks, smoking edges, and what feels like a super dull router bit that needs thrown out. But most of the time, the bit isn't dull at all. It's just coated in gunk. Cleaning your bits every once in a while helps keep them cutting like new, which saves you money. You can use a simple resin remover, or even household degreaser in a small brass brush. But the easiest and most effective way is an ultrasonic cleaner. I use a small one in my shop. Just mix it with a little water and a little cleaning solution, toss in a few bits, and let it run for 5 or 10 minutes. It shakes loose all the resin and dirt from the flutes without scratching the carbide. Once they're clean, dry them off and hit them with a little light oil or silicone spray to prevent rust, especially if you live somewhere humid. If you've got a bit that's truly dull, meaning the carbide edge is rounded or chipped, that's when it's time to replace or send it out to be sharpened. But for most people, a good cleaning every now and then will make your bits last years longer. Before you throw the dull bit away, try cleaning it first. You might be surprised how much life it still has left. All those tips will make a huge difference, but I also want to run you through a few quick pro tips that will really up your router game. Mark your router base with an arrow showing the bit's rotation. It's a small thing, but it helps you instantly know which way to feed your material, so you're always cutting against the rotation, not with it. Keep your bearings clean and lubricated. If the bearing on a flush trim or pattern bit starts to seize up, it'll burn your project in seconds. A quick shot of dry lube or a drop of oil now and then saves you a lot of headaches. Clean your collet every few months. Pitch and dust can build up inside it, and even a little debris can stop it from gripping properly on your bit. So Pull it out, wipe it down, and it'll hold your bit like new. I know it's an extra step, but do not change bits while the router is still plugged in. It sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how easy it is to forget when you're in the groove. Unplug it every single time. One more thing, invest in quality bits. Cheap bits are totally fine when you're just getting started out and don't really know what you'll actually use. But once you reach for a bit more than a handful of times, it's worth upgrading to something much higher quality. You've probably seen me use these iridescent rainbow bits in my videos and wonder what they are. They're router bits with a special coating called Astra HP, which keeps them sharper and slicker, which means that your cuts will be cleaner and way easier. I've got a special 10% off coupon code that'll help you save a little money if you want to try them out for yourself. And while we're talking about router bits, if you haven't already grabbed it, make sure to download that free router bit reference guide I mentioned earlier. It walks you through everything we've covered today. The full speed chart, bit types, maintenance steps, and even my personal router and bit recommendations, all in one place. You can grab it using the link down in the description below or by scanning the QR code on screen. These little habits don't take any extra effort, but they add up to smoother cuts, longer tool life, and just an overall better routing experience.